What up, party people in the place to be? This is a brand new episode of Buzz Bites. I know we were supposed to be do Pink's Distortion tonight, but like we had some fallouts, some scheduling difficulties, some testicular difficulties. So me and Joe, we decided to do like a fun sideshow instead, and just threw something quick together. Two movies we kind of always wanted to talk about. And Joey, what do we got on the table tonight?
We got a Takashi Miike Jam, First Love, that came out in 2019. And we also have Fried Berry, which was a Shudder original, directed by Ryan Kruger. That's his directorial full feature debut. That came out in 2020.
Right, right. But before we get into all that craziness, man, do you got a check in?
Yeah, I actually managed to read a few things between last episode and this one. So I caught up on Plush.
Oh, snap.
I read issue 3 and issue 4. And this book, man, it got better with each issue. Like I'm real like the first issue I was kind of like, oh, okay, it's kind of funny, it's kind of fun. But man, I'm really like I like peeling back the onions, taking the layers off now. Now I'm like really into it. And I can't wait for the next issue, man. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, Doug Wagner's pretty crazy. I really enjoy
Yeah.
his horror stuff.
It's
Kind of
fun.
reminds me of some of the movies we're going to be talking about tonight. You know what I mean? It's on that same kind of level.
Yeah. Like like right off the bat, like a book about furries and stuff, I was like, I don't know if I'll be into this, but it's kind of cool the take on it. So, mm, yeah. Furries that are actual cannibalistic murderers. So, yeah. And like their whole, how do you say, not their religion, but their belief system behind like what they do and everything is pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
they get into it. Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed those two issues. Um, and the other book, I read 3 books. I read,
oh, snap. Yeah, I saw that that's out.
yeah, it's Breath of Shadows by Rich Dueck and Alex Cormack. It's their latest book that came out from IDW. I believe issue 2 just dropped this week, this past Wednesday. So you can pick up issue 2. But I just read the first issue this week, the other night. Yeah, it was pretty cool. About
What's the setup in this one?
it's a frontman from some band in like let's say the '60s, go like '50s, turn into the '60s, like the hippie days, and he feels like he's losing touch with like the world, so he wants to try to reconnect so his music can mean something again. So he goes on this excursion in the where was it? Is it in the Mayans, like somewhere in Brazil, maybe? I can't remember exactly, but they
That's
go on
probably
this
the Aztecs
excursion.
then,
Yeah, maybe Aztecs, because
or the
he.
Incas. Maybe I'm not sure, but
Yeah, but
because the
yeah,
Mayans were Mexico.
Mexico. Okay,
Yeah,
well, maybe it's in Mexico. Yes, it is Mexico, because he has an interview, and they're like, "Oh, is this your first time in Mexico?" Yeah, so it is in Mexico. And he finds this transcript from this guy about ancient belief systems and stuff like that, and so he's financing an excursion to try to go uncover the mysteries behind it and reach enlightenment at the same time. So yeah,
that's cool. I mean, I really dig like the first two books of like their little team up, kind of weird horror
the Sea of
anthology that they're
Sorrows
doing.
and the
Sea of
Bone
Sorrows and
Orchid,
Road of Bones. Road of
Road of
Bones is
Bones, Road of Bones. Okay, yeah, yeah,
yeah, both are really good. Yeah, Road of Bones was just a hell of a way to start like a whole like little universe type thing. I really book really got to me like the whole isolation and cannibalism aspect to it. Really cool.
yeah.
So that's kept me hooked, and I've been getting them in trade. But yeah, I might check out the first issue of this one just to see the setup, see what to
Yeah,
expect.
it's yeah. He's like an addict too. He's a and the way he has visions, it's kind of I don't know if it's when he goes through when he starts jonesing, like going through withdrawal. He starts seeing like these centipedes coming out of people's faces all the time and stuff. When he starts going through withdrawal, he gets like these hallucinations from withdrawal. which is funny because that's kind of a little bit what happens in one of the movies we're going to be talking about. So,
Yep,
hey,
yep.
what up, Al? Yeah, so there's a nice little segue from Breath of Shadows to First Love, actually, the Takashi Miike film. Yeah, there's a little connecting thread there.
A little bit of a
Mm,
crossover.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know if that's a common thing for people to hallucinate. Yeah, I guess in Train Spotting too, right? When he's going through, the baby, he kind of hallucinates about the baby when he's trying to
Yeah,
clean up and stuff. So I guess that's probably like a common theme. Night terrors.
it's never happened to me, but like, yeah, I've heard of it
Mhm,
happening.
mhm.
I
Yeah. Mm,
beatniks in the 50s, hippies in the late 60s.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he does dress a bit like a beatnik actually, with a black tight shirt and the pants and stuff. So he does have a beatnik vibe to him, the front man for the band. What was the band called? It was his name. It was the uh, I can't remember. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's not that relevant. The name of the Stains or the Shades. That's it. The Shades was the name of his band, and they're all dressed in black with the shades and everything, with long sleeve black tight shirts. Yeah, so definitely a beatnik, more of a beatnik look to him, like that. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, good book, good first issue so far. Cool, Daddy. Oh yeah, yeah. Do you have a check in, man?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Phantom Road by Jeff
Oh
Lemire
yeah,
and
that came out this
Gabriel
week.
Walta. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm digging it. It's probably kind of the most emotional seeming of the kind of odd horror stuff that Jeff's been doing lately. I really, really like the way that they render the kind of visions that he has as his own reflection when he's driving his truck. It's a neat setup. You basically the book ends when shit finally starts happening. So or this issue does. So it's a really good setup. You know, Jeff's good at that though. He's always good at hooking you right away. So,
Yeah.
but this one looks like it's going to be pretty different, pretty interesting. That's what I really like about like all the weird little horror things that Lemire's been doing lately. Is he's not trying to just copy anything ever. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
each thing that he does is really, really different and really, I don't know, really. He puts a lot into it. Like I
Yeah.
didn't expect him to be this good of a horror writer. I didn't expect him to go into horror, period. But I'm happy he did. I'm really excited with all of the stuff he's been putting out, and this looks like a nice kind of survival horror notch in that belt.
Mhm. Yeah, he's pretty diverse, but I mean, like I said, for me, the first thing I read from Lemire was Animal Man, which had very heavy like horror tones to it. So you know, so for me, I'm not.
It got to having horror tones, but like I don't know, it was really emotional and really family oriented.
Mhm.
So I guess it did have some horror tones, but I never really saw it in that light when I read it.
Really? Oh, I thought it
It
did a
got to
little
that
bit
when they finally did the crossover with Swamp
with
Thing,
the
but
rot,
like
the rot story there. Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
for me it kind of hit on the same level as like Sweet Tooth. You know what I mean? It was
yeah,
more kind
yeah.
of
With the
trying to
yeah, with
kick
the
you in
daughter.
the kick your heart right in its balls and make you feel bad and with the whole
Yeah,
family situation. He's good at that though. That's like that's
yeah,
Jeff's bread and butter.
yeah, yeah. He's great. Like I can't think of a book I've read from him to date that I haven't at least enjoyed a little, or
That
everything's.
X-Men book that he wrote was pretty bad.
I haven't read that, so I can't speak on that. But
He had some missteps at Marvel, but hey, who didn't? Like Rick Remender wrote shit at Marvel that I didn't like too. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So that's kind
What
of
else?
like
He did Moon Knight at Marvel, which is
which was
his
really good.
Moon Knight is considered. Yeah, everyone talks good about his Moon Knight, but
He did
nothing else
Hawkeye,
really.
which people really liked too.
Hawkeye? Okay, I don't. You don't hear people talk about it that much, but didn't he do the story leading into that really good one by because he did. Oh, he also did the first part of the Thanos book before.
Yeah, when Thanos got cancer or whatever. Of
Yeah,
course, Jeff Lemire wrote a book about Thanos getting cancer.
and then I think Donny Cates took over after, right?
Yeah, because that turned into Cosmic Ghost Rider,
Ghost
basically, right?
Rider. Yeah, yeah. I think worked on the first part of that one, so he has a Thanos book under his belt as well. Yeah. So yeah, he's done. Well, I mean, he's been writing for a long time, so
You
he
know, he
has a
didn't
lot.
like his time at Marvel, so like it's apparent that he wasn't digging what they were making it right too much.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well,
but he did have a couple good things while he was there, which
mhm.
is more than
Which
you could
X
say
Men
for a
book
lot
did
of
he
other
work
people.
on?
What was the Extraordinary X-Men, or uh,
Extraordinary. Okay,
I think it was the
okay.
Extraordinary X-Men because it
Yeah,
was
that
like a
sounds right.
title that never was ever called anything else besides when
Mhm.
he did like the one run for it where they all lived in hell or in purgatory or something because
Okay.
magic could open the portal to it and
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, hey, gotta have one to. Everyone's gotta have a little blemish on their resume, right?
word.
All right, man. You want to get into the movies, or did you have a? You just had the Lemire book. Did you have
Just the
anything new?
Lemire book. Yeah, I didn't really see anything else at the shop that
Um,
really caught my interest that I can't
um,
wait for trade on.
yeah, I haven't. I didn't stop in at the shop this week. Oh, a show I watched was. We are looking for something to watch because we finished most of the shows that we were watching. So I was looking for just like a half hour type show just to kill time whenever we have a little bit of time. So I started watching The Last Man on Earth. It's not bad. It's pretty funny. We get some laughs out of it. I I remember when it first came out. I think we watched the first 3 episodes, but we stopped watching it because I think when we moved, we canceled our subscription to cable and stuff, and just never picked it up. So I started watching that. Probably watched the first.
It was like Jason Sudeikis, right? Or
No, I don't know if he makes an appearance in it because he's in a photo. I think he's the guy's brother. Uh, shit, what's his name? It's an old guy from the one who plays MacGruber, I think. He's the one who wrote and created the
oh,
show.
that's right. Like Will something, right?
Forte, Forte, Will
Will Forte.
Forte. Yeah, he's the one. Yeah, and it's not bad. It's pretty good. Like his character gets annoying a little bit there when he gets all jealous and everything has to evolve around him a little bit. That gets a little redundant and tiresome, but all the other characters are super good in it.
Reminds you of being on Twitter, pretty much.
Yeah, me. Everyone pay attention to me. My views are the most important. My feelings, my feelings. Everybody look at me. Yeah, that's Twitter. If you don't agree with me, I'm gonna cancel you. Anyway.
Word.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. All right, let's get to the movies.
So, I'm gonna start with the one that's gonna be the hardest to explain.
Yeah.
Fried Berry. I mean, I watched this thing twice this week,
Well,
and I still can't remember everything that happens in it, man. Like, there's just so much. Like,
it is. It feels like there's so much in it, and you're like, man, this must have been like a 2.5 hour movie. But no, it's like an hour and 40 minutes. But it fits a lot of shit into this movie, man. It's crazy, crazy.
yeah, because it's just like basically him going around experiencing all this stuff and just like all these
Yeah.
different interactions he has with people and
Well, the premise is easy. Like the general story is easy to explain. It's basically a guy who gets abducted by aliens, and the alien takes over his body to experience life on Earth through this human, and he just goes around his town experiencing stuff, right? But the thing is, this human they abduct and take over his body to go experience is a junkie, like a deadbeat junkie, whatever. So he, when they go back down, all the people he knows and all like everything he knows is all like the underbelly and
yeah,
stuff like that. So
it's
yeah,
literally in the ghetto of
yeah,
Cape Town, South Africa. So it's like a
Cape Town, yeah,
pretty
yeah,
notorious um place for being pretty pretty scary. You know what I mean? But the film
sketchy,
never
yeah.
really diverges into a to being just awful or that's what I really
No,
liked about it because I kept waiting for like is this where the movie just like really falls apart and just turns to being grotesque and awful and it never hits that low. I mean there are a few horror elements, it kind of gets gory in a couple places,
hmm,
but like it moves from that really fast back into almost being whimsical and
yeah. Well, it does have a lot because Ryan Kruger is the director, who's a British guy who moved to South Africa to pursue acting and directing. Because he had quite a bit of success, but I don't know, he must have had contacts, and he went down there and he did a lot of music videos and got nomination, won awards for music videos. And this is his first. He actually did a short called Fried Berry and put it in the festivals and stuff, and it won awards and stuff. And from that, he did a full feature based on that short film. So that's what he came up with Fried Berry for 2022 is his first full feature as a director. And yeah, man, it's pretty good. And the
It's an
main actor,
experience.
yeah, the main actor in this is Gary Green, who's uh, an actor from
He is a living skeleton, is what he
yeah.
is, man. He
But
is
it's crazy
he's the
because
Crypt Keeper's slightly younger brother.
he's like it's weird because I was reading his biography thing on was it IMDb or through Wikipedia? I can't remember anyway. But he's like a model. He's done commercials. He does a lot of stunt stuff. He's a known stuntman. So he went to school to be a stuntman. Uh, like his resumes, like he does all kinds of stuff. And
So is that why he is so good at all the physical stuff in the movie,
yeah,
like doing
yeah,
all the weird dancing
exactly.
and all the
Yeah,
contorting and stuff like that? Because
yeah.
he he contorts himself a lot in this film, man. Like he
And
some
he's an athlete too. Like he like track and field and stuff like that. So, and he went to school. He actually went to a stuntman school and got like a certificate or something. Yeah,
that's cool. I didn't know all that about him,
yeah,
but
yeah. So,
I mean, he really is the one that makes this movie work. If like
hmm
he wasn't so good at his performance, actually playing this being that is just taking everything in for the first time, the way
yeah,
he actually portrays that with the weird wide-eyed look at everything and just what the like he's constantly got the what the fuck look on his face the entire time, and
yeah,
but like he goes with the motions and he kind of just lets whatever's happening happen to him, and I don't know, like he just portrays it very well, but also he's what also kind of made me always think that the movie was going to break dark because he's just so intense and scary looking all the time too,
that's
and
it.
the
I was
film's it's always just so focused on his face, so you're just like
yeah, yeah.
you're
I was
waiting for
reading.
something bad to happen and it never does, or
That's it. In his biography, it says he gets typecast because of his facial features. Because he, like, as a villain or like these odd characters, he always gets typecast because of his facial features and stuff. That's what it was saying. Yeah, because he always looks like he has that stern look on his face, and yeah, like you said, like a walking skeleton, or yeah. So
well,
he
because
always gets.
he is scrawny and he
He
spends a
is.
lot of the time like naked in the movie or close to it.
We're pretty close to it. Well,
Yeah, you do see the Pedinger once in a weird shot, but
I
like a
who
lot of
knows
the
if it.
rest of the time where he's like kind of nude, like it's covered up. You don't get to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
too much.
Because you see the Pedinger shot is when he gets abducted by aliens.
Yeah, the
Probing.
the
All
abduction
the
scene is
probing,
just
yeah.
so well done, though, man. I
Yeah.
really loved the way the abduction scene was filmed.
I have to hand it to these guys because they had probably an extremely limited budget, and the way they handled the effects were done so well. Like you said, the abduction was just like lighting tricks and stuff like that. There was nothing super like advanced about the effects,
There was a few CGI effects like with light
lights,
the
cables, and
lights.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was about it.
Yeah, but it's pretty basic, and it's fantastic the way they did it. Like it's mainly all camera shots, like quick cuts, uh, with the sound. A lot
Yeah, the
of it,
sound design in the film
the
is
way, yeah,
incredible.
yeah. Oh shit, I forgot to make a note of that. Yeah, it's one guy who did all the sound design. Uh,
Hazer.
Hazer, yeah, that's it. He's like a DJ slash whatever. He does a lot of like work for movies, video games, stuff like that. And the soundtrack, I was listening to it, and it gave me like big time like Hotline Miami vibes, like that video game. It had a lot of that like techno house dance kind of weird, but on the weirder side. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
dug the music in it. It was pretty cool. Mm.
a lot of the more techno-y stuff, like he kind of performs a lot of not quite dubstep, what I would call glitch.
Glitch.
I
Yeah.
think is what the Brits call it. That like
Mhm.
type techno.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was really good. I really liked the soundtrack to the film, and
Yep.
it really fits it well. I mean, it really
It
keeps
does.
the adventure going because that's a constant is Barry's crazy eyes and
Mhm.
music
Yeah.
driving the story of the film, or if you can call it a story.
Yeah. Well, it's an experience, right? And the movie itself, because it's basically an alien experiencing stuff for the first time, and this movie's almost like it's so weird that it almost feels like experiencing like for the first time because it's not your typical movie. So it gives you that weird sensation, kind of like maybe like the alien going through our world, being like, "What the fuck is this?" Not knowing like facial expressions or people's like what we do as a species, right? They're probably like fucking like the what was it when he first turns the alien? He walks into that bar, right? And then the two
Yeah.
guys go into the bathroom, and he's like, he's just not saying anything. He's just sitting there staring at everything and everyone, and people are talking to him, and he's just like you said, that blank, wide-eyed look, just looking at him. And the guy's like, the bathroom's over there, and then he gets there. And you have the
There's
two guys, one guy's giving the other guy head, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" You know. And then the bartender comes in, he's like, what the fucking he starts freaking out and kicks him out. No, sucky stucky in the bathroom's in
and you
here.
you
And
can't watch this.
yeah,
Get out.
yeah, yeah, he looks like a perv, right? Because he's just sitting there staring at these guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So right there, that's like that's not yeah, but the abduction scenes are really well done and weird, like you said, like the probe into the penis. But even the opening scene where he like the way he shoots up before he goes home to see his wife, like right at the beginning, where they kind of set his character up, like what he's like before the abduction. Like that's done really well too.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
that was shot almost really close to, I would say, how Darren Aronofsky shot the shoot up scenes in Requiem for a Dream.
Hmm.
The
Yeah, yeah,
type
it's
shit.
really it was really cool. Like
Yeah.
so, right off the bat, you kind of get that the visual tone, like what this movie's gonna kind of be like visually, the pacing. So it's pretty cool.
Well, that's the neat thing is the movie. Every time I thought I had it figured out, because like at the beginning I was like, man, I'm not gonna like this. I'm like, because it's about this nasty guy, and
Yeah.
but then the next thing you know, he gets abducted and he gets dropped down, and the first thing you realize is like it's not the nasty guy anymore. It's this innocent creature, right, basically,
Or
or
yeah,
not
we don't
innocent,
know.
but yeah, he's just new to this world. He's never seen anything like us, and he picked the wrong person to because like I took it as Barry was already fried before the alien got into him.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he al- he wasn't a very functioning human being to begin with that they
Mhm.
decided to take over, and then also he keeps getting into these scenarios where he keeps getting more and more drugs pumped
Yeah.
into him. So
Yeah, because he goes after that, after he leaves that bar where he gets kicked out for watching the two guys
he
performing
gets put. Yeah, he's
fellatio
walking down the street,
down
and
the
this
street.
and the dance club guy just the doorman just grabs him and he's like, "Go in here, man. Well, you get two girls for everyone." And
Yeah, yeah.
like,
He's
yeah,
like,
he's
oh, and if you want really good stuff, you want the good stuff. Then he sends him up to the club, right? And then what happens when he first walks in, he gets greeted by that blonde girl, and she gives him what it must be
a hit of E.
MDA. Yeah, a hit of E
And
or
it's a
MDA,
Molly,
one of the
I guess as they call it
Molly.
now,
Yeah,
Molly.
yeah. So takes a hit of that, right? And then like, oh, you know.
So he goes
Then
and finds
you
her.
see her in the club. Yeah, she's like handing it out to different people, and he shows up and just grabs the bag and starts fucking down on him. It's like, what the fuck? And that's where you see the first kind of the twitchy kind of super weirdness of him. Yeah, like that's where his facial. That's where he starts performing with
Yeah,
his
dude,
face without saying anything. Yeah,
the way he contorts his jaw around, man,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's insane. Like
mhm,
if you see anything from the film, you'll probably see the screenshots of him doing the shit with his jaw, like all over the
yeah,
place, just
yeah.
contorting his mouth. And that can't feel good, you know what I mean? Like I just tried it and like I think almost dislocated my jaw. So he really is an athlete.
Yeah, so that's so then it starts to kick in, right, the drug. So then he gets on the dance floor
And the
Boom, boom,
way
boom.
the music and the way that the drugs set in and the way it's shot is just so great with the way he starts dancing, like the way that Hazer and Kruger's just work together to do this
Yeah,
shot is just incredible.
yeah. I'm
And
sure they must have worked together on like some of his music videos and stuff in the past. So I'm sure they must have already had a pretty close working relationship before this movie. I don't know for a fact, but I'd just assume so. Yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, he goes like almost full Napoleon Dynamite. He tears up the dance floor
yeah,
without doing any recognizable moves, man. He's just like nerdy white boy dancing to the most extreme, but like he's tearing it up, man. And everybody's like just cheering him on. And like this one girl comes up to dance with him, and like he just gets knocked out of the way and stuff. It's really great scene, man. Even people that hate this movie that I read online loved that scene of that film. Like it
yeah,
just was because like his performance is just incredible. As
yeah.
weird and as scary as this guy is, you can't take your eyes off of him the entire film. Like
No, no.
it's he's oddly intoxicating, as weird as that sounds.
Oh, and that leads me because we're gonna get to the first X-rated sort of scene, and that makes me think of the beginning of the movie where it kind of, what do you call that, breaking the fourth wall a little bit. Like this movie does it a little bit. Like in the beginning where the guy announces like this movie is 18 and up, and
Oh yeah, they got the really
warning,
cheesy
yeah, the
ratings
intro
warning at
to,
the beginning. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, where the guy's telling you like there's gonna be violent sexual content and stuff. So it makes me think of that because we're leading up to his first. Yannion's gonna get his first taste of what a sexual encounter is gonna be because near the end of the night at the club, the girl picks him up and she's like, "Oh, I didn't think till I saw your crazy ass on the dance floor." And then she brings him home, and yeah, it's funny. Like, man, I haven't. What is it? She says I haven't fucked in. What is it? I can't remember the line. But she's like, anyway, she hasn't had it in a while, so yeah. So she brings him back to her place, and that's in a weird scene too. Right? She has
Yeah.
the projector. She gets
She puts
undressed,
on
puts the
yeah, she puts on like this old '60s porno where they got like covers with the nipples. It's really weird. And then yeah,
and it's
she
projected onto the couch where she's sitting. So it's on the wall and on projecting onto the couch and the wall. And then like, yeah, and then when they're having sex, what is it? She says make noise.
yeah, she says make some goddamn noise because he's just
Yeah,
sitting there all scary looking, and she's like make
yeah.
some goddamn, and he just starts going woo
Woo,
woo
woo.
woo.
That was, yeah. It's so funny. Yeah. So then like they finish up and he's like, "What the fuck?
And she's like you can't stay here.
You
Just
can't
throws his
stay
ass
here."
out right after,
Yeah,
man. So
yeah.
he goes mobbing and like
That's when he goes. Doesn't he? How does he? The next one would be to the brothel, right?
yeah, he ends
The
up
next scene.
meeting yeah outside of like
Mm,
a a place where the ladies of the night congregate. He meets one, and she drags him back to her place. Well, one thing to interest to bring up is the first girl, as weird as she was bringing a weird guy home like that without even talking to him before at the club, she did wear a profo, whereas this one, like she raw dogs it, which probably the most weird scene in the film, like because like
yeah.
they as soon as they finish having coitus she automatically gives birth, and it's very
But
realistic looking. I'm surprised how like how
even leading up to that, where she lays down and she's like, "What?" She's like looking at him. She's laying and she sticks her hand between, like under the sheets between her legs, and she pulls her hand out and it's all black. Like he jizzes like black tar almost or something. Like the alien cum is black. And then, like you said, all of a sudden she starts feeling something like, "Oh, what the?" And then, like you said, it just starts within a matter of what?
I'd say within like a minute and a half, like gets pregnant, gives birth, and then the pimp's in there like whose baby is that?
She's like, "It came out of me, but it's not mine." Yeah, and he's just staring at her like, "What the?" Like he doesn't understand anything that's going on. Yeah, that whole scene. Then the guy's like, he doesn't know what to make of it. She's completely fucked up and confused. So then he gets the pimp rushes his ass out of there. You get out of here. You can't see this. And yeah, so then he rushes him out. Yeah.
And then
Ugh.
we
So
kind of
that,
get some more odd scenes of him kind of wandering around the night, and then he gets found by his wife. Right? She makes him get in the car, and she takes him home.
Is that when he sees the guy in the street having a heart attack and he goes to
That's
help
right.
him?
Okay, yeah, he kind of mobs around for a little bit, and then like, yeah, he sees a guy having a heart attack, and like he literally just goes up to him and like
Touches
sticks
his
his hand
chest
on his chest, and
to try to save him, right? With like I don't
yeah.
know powers or yeah.
Well,
That's
yeah,
when his
because he
wife
does
pulls
have
up in
like
the
a few
car.
superpowers, like,
Yeah, that's when the wife pulls up in the car. Get in the fucking car.
and yeah, the guy who he saves is chasing him, trying to thank him, and the wife says, "Fuck off, leave my husband
Yeah,
alone," without even
very nice.
realizing, yeah, something weird just happened. It's really funny, like the weird interactions, and she takes him home, and like he's like sitting there with their kid, and like who he kind of never really interacted with and stuff, and like it's kind of neat, like because the kid. I don't know how they got this kid to act as good as he did, but like somehow the kid really like seemed to make it known that he realized that like there was something different about this dude. This wasn't the same guy that's been
Mm,
around. And the way that like the kid and him interact is really cute because like she gives him this hot dog, and the way he eats it is just so weird. He's like eating the side of it and like just shoving it all in his mouth, and then he spits it out and he looks across the table, and the kid's just looking at him like, even I don't eat like that, Dad. And he's just, and they just
yeah.
stare at each other for a while. And then he starts feeding the kid pudding, and it's really touching. And the mom thinks that like, oh, he's finally going to be a dad type
That
thing.
yeah, and that's when don't
Yeah,
they have sex after?
yeah. She
And all you don't see it, but all you can hear, right? They show a scene of the kid sitting at the table,
playing
and
with his dinosaurs. Yeah. Oh,
yeah, and
he's
all you hear is whoo,
yeah.
whoo. You hear him hooing again like an owl. I laughed my ass off at that scene when he starts hooing again. Uh, that was too good. But when
And
does the scene start? Because then he goes to the hospital, right? Because he has a fever and stuff. But we're missing the scene where he meets those two guys, right?
which oh
And he
the
gets the
no no no
Walkman and the headphones.
that that's after he escapes from his wife.
Okay, okay,
And
that's after.
that's
Okay,
before he meets the kidnapper.
okay, okay. Yeah, because while
Because he
watching
gets
it, I
beat.
always, yeah, okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Because yeah, like he kind of hangs out with the wife. They go to the grocery store. It's a really
That's
weird
it.
scene. Yeah, where
Yes, that's okay.
the guy is
Hmm.
trying to get free beans because like the can's dented, and the lady at the store's like, I can't. He's like, just throw them on the ground. And I'm fine. I'm not gonna get my discount. I'm leaving. Like, there's some really weird, just really great
Then they have
interactions.
the cheese taster guy with the cheese
Yeah.
samples. That scene, and that's such a weird scene because it's all close up of their faces.
On the
Ah,
way he eats the cheese too, because he just like
yeah,
puts it between his teeth and starts sucking on it. And you're like, what the fuck?
yeah. I forgot about the grocery store scene. Yeah, yeah. There's some good scenes in that.
And then after that, yeah, like him and the wife are like hugging and stuff, and she just feels him, and like he's really hot, right?
Mm. Yeah, that's it. But
And she's gonna take him to the hospital. She puts him in the car, and he runs out of the car, and
yeah,
he falls down. He's just got like a speedo on and a towel, and he's got his clothes with him. And like he
hmm,
gets found by like these two meth heads who like tell him like, dude, we found you naked. And you don't if you the cops would have found you, they'd have put you in jail naked. You don't
okay,
want to be
okay.
naked in jail. And they give him some meth, and like he starts wigging out really hard, so they bail, and but the guy leaves his Walkman behind.
His
and
Walkman.
then
Okay, that's the scene. Yeah, yeah.
and then you kind of get like the weird scene where Barry's kind of tweaking, and like he's listening to the really cool techno, and like he's dancing around the city, and he actually even ends up flying, which you don't know
Flying. Yeah,
if it's a hallucination or if like he actually
yeah.
has that power. Because I forgot to say, like when he's sitting there with the kid watching TV, he's like watching, he's changing the channel by blinking his eyes, and the kid's
His
like
eyes.
watching him do it, like thinking it's hella cool. Which is
Yeah.
another scene where I'm like, how did they get that kid to act that good? Like he's like a baby, and then that little
Mm.
baby was acting hella good because like he's like all impressed that the guy was changing the channel by blinking his eyes. I was like, that's some pretty good acting for like a child that young.
Yeah, I like those scenes with the headphones too. Like with the music
Yeah,
and everything. Those were some cool scenes. Those were fun. It was like a music video, right, within the movie. So yeah, that was fun. I dug those scenes. Those were pretty cool. Mm.
and then like he finds a guy dying, and he gives him his Walkman to help him
You
because
actually keep
it
saying
gave him
help, help.
comfort.
Yeah.
It's how I took it. Like like it's this is the type of movie where you got to look for the meanings yourself, but That's how I took it. Is like he thought that that would help him, so he gives him the
Yeah.
headphones and like walks away, and runs into these gangbanger guys who beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of
Yeah.
like the first time that anybody's actually kind of mean to Barry, because everybody else kind of just either helps him out in a weird way, wants to have sex with him, or just gives him drugs arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Which
And then at the end of that scene is where he looks at the guy and he doesn't he put his hand out, and
and
then the
almost
guy
stops his
feels,
heart, right?
yeah, he feels like a pinch in his chest, and he looks at him like, what the fuck, and then he passes out from the beating he took. Yeah. And I think that's where we get the cut for the intermission, right?
Yeah.
That's where the intermission comes in. Intermission time, snacks, sodas, it's like a commercial that you'd get at the movie theater. And then the next scene it cuts to would be him waking up in the hospital.
No, he wakes up tied up to the chair with the little girl.
Oh yes, that's it. With the girl. Yes. That's true. I forgot. It's yeah, that leads up to okay, now yeah, yeah. That's where he wakes up
And
tied to that
basically,
chair.
like, there's a prolific kidnapper running around the city, and he's like this really weird little dude who has a really funny interaction with Barry. He's like,
Yeah.
"Man, I thought I was ugly. God damn, you're ugly." And he
I
he
like
notices that there's something different about him because when he found him, he was all beaten up, but now Barry's all healed and stuff. So like he's gonna try to figure out like what his secret is. But
mm,
the little girl decides that she wants to save him, so like they help each other escape.
yeah.
And I don't know, the really cool kind of fight between him and the kidnapper guy, and he saves the kids. But when he's walking out with them, the cops think that he's the kidnapper because he's covered head to toe in blood because
Yeah.
like the kidnapper was fighting him with the chainsaw, and
Chainsaw. Mm, yeah.
chainsaw messy things happen.
I like that. I thought that actor was probably one of the kidnapper. I like that actor. I thought he did a pretty good job. Like he was fun. He was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean he was skeezy. He didn't have to do anything intimidating or
Mm,
that freaky to make you think that he was a scary
hmm
person. You know what I mean? Like he really had a presence to him, like a really interesting actor.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good. I like that. The chainsaw scenes were super cheesy, but I mean, whatever.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like you said, like they were filming for nothing, and chainsaws are dangerous, man. Like
Dangerous. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I was
I
saying
mean,
too. I
I
was
have
like,
one,
I
and I
know.
use it on yard work and stuff, and like I'm pretty chicken shit when I have to use it. You know what I mean? Like
Two.
I'm not doing the Leatherface dance or anything
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I'm using.
You have two actors that probably aren't very familiar with like power tools and stuff, and give them a real chainsaw. Yeah, probably insurance reasons too. They probably couldn't, even if they took the blades off and just ran it without. They probably weren't allowed.
Yeah, but I mean, they did good. They didn't show any
Yeah,
close-ups of the chainsaw during the
no,
fight and stuff, so like that they were smart about it.
yeah,
And that's how he ends up in the hospital because the cops
the
are trying to
cops pick
talk
him
to
up.
him and like he's just looking at him like how he looks at everybody, and
Yeah,
they're like, and the hospital is probably the silliest part of the film because it's so slapstick, but I thought it was
yeah,
pretty funny. I enjoyed it for what it
I
was.
enjoyed it too. I mean, with the guy that's supposed to keep an eye on him, that whole
Yeah.
interaction, he's like a caper type thing. Like you got to make your escape, like a prison break.
Well, the funny thing was there was actually somebody out there. I was expecting at the
Yeah,
end of the scene that there was there wasn't going to be
yeah,
anybody waiting for him.
yeah. There's actually someone out there waiting for him. Yeah, yeah. But it's funny because that makes you like, how you're saying you don't know if he really sees it or if it's a hallucination. And then when you're running through that part where the guy who keeps an eye on him is helping him like escape, like all of a sudden he's like with a machine gun and it's him pretending he has a machine gun and stuff, but all the scenes are shot like he actually has one. So it kind of plays into that what's he actually seeing for real and what's hallucination from all the drugs and stuff. So yeah, it was well done though. I enjoyed it. the
Yeah.
the whole escape from the mental ward. Mm,
And then after that, like he sees his wife. After the guy helps him escape, he gives him like shoots him up with something, but it must have been a hallucinogenic because he starts really frying hard, like he took some shrooms or something. Because like, and he sees all kinds of weird stuff. Like he sees like his alien or overlords dancing in front of him, and it's a pretty cool trip scene. But then eventually he sees his wife, but she drives off without him. So he goes and spends the night with the homeless guy in a box. And then after that, he wakes up and he finds the prostitute that he knocked up earlier,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
she takes him home with her, and the baby is full grown, and it's basically a clone of Barry.
A very, yeah. But
But
acts like a child though.
yeah,
Yeah. Acts very juvenile. Oh,
and
that leads up to the weird. What's it? Milk. I want milk.
yeah,
He has a little fit because he wants to breastfeed. That leads to the breastfeed scene, which is super weird.
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Is like there are some like really disturbing parts of the film, but like at the same time they're disturbing in the way that like they crack you up and make you kind of be like,
Yeah.
oh God, don't show me that, more than like actually being
But her,
offensively gross or something.
like, she doesn't want to, and then he has like a little fit, like kids do, right? No, I want this, and then she gives in, and then she's like, "Fuck my life," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah.
But at this point, you see that like he's like starting to look all wrinkly and kind of like pasty and stuff. So he starts feeling ill, and she takes him to the hospital. And this
Kind of
is
like
where
ET,
this is where
right?
it kind of ends like the ET. It's kind of got an ET ending. I
Yeah.
think that he was really kind of spoofing on that when he did the ending
Yeah.
of the film.
Yeah. Because he does get white, like pale and pasty and chalky. So it's almost like ET when he starts to get sick at the end, and he, you know, yeah.
And the two women help him get to his spaceship and stuff. It's really cute because he shows her the wife through his memories, like what's going on. Like he touches her
Yeah.
head, and it's
Because
pretty neat.
yeah, because she finally realizes too that it's not her husband, it's someone or something else. So that's when he's like to let her know. Yeah, he touches her and she just poof, like sees all kinds of shit, like probably how man was created and everything, how humankind came to be. I don't know. Anyway, she sees a lot of shit all in one shot.
and yeah, I mean, and that's pretty. And I'm not gonna spoil exactly how it ends, but like I think that there are a lot worse ways you could spend an hour and 40 minutes, man. I think this movie is a total blast and something that you'll never see anything else like. I mean, I haven't really, and I've seen a lot of really weird movies. I've seen a lot of art house films that are sort of like this. I've seen disturbing films that are, but like none that actually are as charming as this film is in its weird way. I mean, there are some very problematic moments in the film. It is a very un-PC movie. There are definitely um, parts of the film that were made to kind of anger and outrage people, but at the same time, like it's a cult film, so it's kind of supposed to be doing that type of stuff. And I don't know, so it depends on. But it's definitely one I say go ahead and give a shot too. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have there's a lot worse things out there than this, and I literally really enjoy this film. I've watched it 3 times now in total, twice this week, and once when I first got it a year ago, which was really cool because when I picked the DVD up for this and took a picture of it, I think on Twitter you're like, "Hey man, after you watch that let me know because like I what you think because I saw it and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
dude." I would not expect because like I thought you were kind of more reserved when I first met you. I didn't know you were into
No.
as weird a
Well,
shit as you are
I
into.
used to watch all this, like I don't watch it as much anymore, but when I was younger, that's the type of shit I'd watch, like tons of those kind of movies when I was younger. Now I'm like, yeah, I don't watch as much of it. Like I think it's because I saw a lot of weird stuff like that when I was younger, so now when I watch it, it doesn't hit like it used to. So a lot of the time I'm like, yeah, it was okay. I mean,
Well, a lot of the newer stuff's so edge lordy, it's not enjoyable. They try to make
mm,
it too dark and too
mm,
disturbing and too gross and too gory, and
yeah.
that's a lot of problem I have with a lot of the newer stuff. I mean, like
But this one
Terrifier
had,
2, for instance, like
yeah,
everybody's going gaga about that, and you
I haven't
know,
watched it yet. I haven't watched either one or two. I'll have to watch that. Give it a try.
they're not the worst, but like I don't. The first one might be better in my opinion, but it's nowhere near as cool as this film. Like one thing that I think this movie really has going for it, aside from the main actor, is the setting. I think that doing a movie like this set in a place like Cape Town, South Africa, is really neat because I've never really seen too many films that take place there, aside from the Noel Blomkamp films like District 9, I think took place
Yeah,
there, and So did what was the crappy one with the robot that he made?
Oh,
Crappy or
Chappie,
yeah,
Chappie.
Chappie. That's what it was.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It was. I think it has just the right blend of like shocking, funny, disturbing, and it. I think it balances it perfectly. Like you said, it doesn't. It'll never lose you because it goes too far in one direction or the other, right? It gets silly, it gets like outlandish, and then it comes back to like something a little more even.
Well,
Then
yeah,
it might go into like super graphic, more sexual content, and then it'll come back to something more,
well, because
like, but it
at the
never
begin,
strays too far.
yeah, because like at the
Yeah.
beginning of the film, it was really focused on sex. There was a lot of the him having a
Mhm.
lot of sexual experiences, and for a minute, I thought that that's all the movie was going to be. But then they changed it up really fast, and then
Mhm.
like after the part with the kidnapper, I was like, oh, okay, now it's going to become the gory film that I always expected it to be. Now it's going to fall apart, and he's just going to start murdering people, and it never went there, and I was
Mhm.
really happy for that. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
I really liked that the dude just tried to make a film that, you know, did as much as possible. And yeah, it kind of is just a bunch of vignettes tied together loosely but I mean, with a thinly veiled plot. But what more does it need to be? I mean, like it's literally just you're supposed to experience the same thing
That's
that
it.
this
I
this
think
creature's seeing. You know what I mean?
the movie itself is the experience, right? It's not so much the story and how it drives, you know. It's the actual movie itself, which is the experience. That kind of like you said, you got the alien experience and thing. That's the thing that drives the whole movie. Like from one vignette to the other is like one experience, and how it just kind of loosely leads you into the next one till the end. But I mean, they're all very memorable, and it's definitely a fun movie to watch. Like that's the most important thing for me.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
I
like
don't like these directors or writers that get too like up their own asses, and it's like you're watching 2 hours of something, and like I watched a movie and I'm happy that it's done because it was boring. And the best part of the movie is the fact that it's over. But this, I didn't feel that like this was a fun movie. There's so many great fun scenes. It was entertaining,
yeah, and
and
I'm
I
not gonna lie,
think
there are a few part of the movie this movie that I did not like, but they did not overshadow the parts that were brilliant. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly, yeah. And it was like, I mean, as I get older, that's all I want from my movies is to be entertaining and find it fun. Like like I'm over all that fucking pretentious kind of like, oh, it's dark, it means this and it means that. I'm like, all right, I've seen a million of those movies, and just people are rehashing it. Just make something fun. It's fun to watch, and I'll dig it. And this was really fun. I thought it was a blast. And like you said, that Gary Green there, he was fantastic. He did a great job as the alien, and yeah, great
Yeah.
performance by him.
You don't want to look at him, but you can't take your eyes off of him. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's a talent right there. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I definitely would recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, like I give the movie a good 7.5, 8 out of 10 personally. I mean, I don't know how you rate it.
Yeah, I'd say 7.5, definitely. Solid 7.5. I'm right there with you. Mm, yeah. And you can go watch it. It's on Shutter. It's a Shutter original. So if you have Shutter, you can go. It's included with the membership. So if you're subscribed to Shutter, you can go watch this movie. Just go search it and give it a go.
Okay,
I mean, hour and
okay, cool.
40
I
minutes.
didn't know where it was streaming because I got the
Yeah,
DVD for it.
yeah, yeah. It's right on Shutter. That's how I watched it the first time, and it's still there. It's been on Shutter for a long time now. So, mm, yeah, so you could go get it there. Definitely recommend you go watch it.
Right, all right.
Yeah,
All right, you ready to move on?
yeah. Let's do the next one. First Love.
By the greatest director in the world, in my opinion, Mr. Takashi Miike. Over 100 films under his belt. And this one, I mean, like I would put this in. I think it would probably be somewhere under 10 in my top 25 if I redid it because one of my most popular videos I ever did was my top 25 favorite Takashi Miike films. But if I was to redo it, this one would definitely probably fall in somewhere around 11 to 14. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure, but I still really adore this film, and especially for it being in his later career, I'm really happy to see him return to some of his roots because this one really hits hard on the type of imagery and theming that he did in like the Black Triad Society or like the Dead or Alive trilogy.
Hmm.
Um, I really really like that he kind of went back to his roots, but meanwhile got to make like a high budget version of those type of films with some of the biggest actors in Japan at the time. So I really really dig this one. Just before we get into the synopsis and stuff, how did you dig this one, Joe?
Uh, I've watched quite a few of Takashi's movies, and I'd have to say this one definitely like is if you've watched a lot of his earlier stuff, definitely definitely you know rings true to maybe some of those movies. Like maybe not. It probably doesn't go as weird as some of his other stuff, but it definitely has those themes of like police, gangs, like which is a very common theme in a lot of his movies from the '90s. So yeah, so I'd
Yeah,
say it reflects back to like maybe the stuff he was making in the '90s a little more.
yeah. Um, this one, like I said, like it really reminds me of a Guy Ritchie movie in a way. The way that all
Hmm.
the different groups of characters end up converging into like a weird, ironic crossover of fates. I really, really dig that type of storytelling. So it's kind of neat to see like a Guy Ritchie esque plot in a Takashi Miike film, which
Okay. Yeah. So basically, the plot is a boxer who gets diagnosed with
a
uh,
tumor.
a tumor that's going to be terminal, and a uh, escort end up or prostitute end up being falsely framed or accused of stealing drugs, and this creates a chain reaction which is the catalyst for the whole story, is all these groups of people chasing down these two for whichever reason, whether it's the yakuza, there's Chinese gangs, there's the dirty cop that has a deal going with a yakuza guy, and all these people are searching for these two, and they're on the run. And this is the whole like the story of all these people. Like you said, it all converges eventually at one point, and they're all running after these people, looking for them. These two characters. Yeah.
Yeah, Leo and Monica, or
Yeah.
Yuri, as her real
Yeah.
name is.
Yeah, and the dirty cop, you know who he is, eh?
I've seen him in a lot of other films, but I don't know his what is it? Let me
He's a
find my.
he's a. I'll give you three guesses, man. He's a returning actor that he's played on some. He's been on some of other Miike's movies.
He is the guy that was Ichi the Killer, right?
Yeah, he's Ishii. He's gotten much older, eh?
Yeah,
Well, this movie's what almost 20 some odd years later, so
yeah.
almost 30 years.
2001 is when Ichi the Killer came out.
It was
So
2001, yeah. So 20, almost 20 years later. Yeah, so he's aged. That's why I was like,
yeah,
ah, is that him? So I went and checked. I was like, yeah, yeah, man, that's Ishii. That's Ishii, all right. So yeah. Uh, I didn't write down who the actress's name is who wants to get revenge for her boyfriend's death.
oh, dude, I don't know her name either, but isn't she
She was
probably the
great. Oh, she was
running
so
around in
good.
those teddy bear underwear, man?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was good. Yeah,
just
just her.
perfectly over the top and
Yeah,
just. I mean, she's a shitty person, but you
her
loved her
character.
anyways, man. Yeah, she
Yeah,
was.
she was great. She did really well in her role. And her first intro is where because Monica, the prostitute, whatever, is the father owed money to the drug dealer, which is this girl we're talking about, and uh, Yusei, what's his name? Her boyfriend,
Yeah, Yusa, right?
Yusa, yeah. So she's crawling, and I think her and the boxer live in the same building. And she sees them. She starts seeing these visions. Like she's a junkie as well. She does a lot of drugs. So when she starts coming down, she gets hallucinations. And so she sees uh, the boxer, she always sees him as Yusuri, is like a little boy that protected her from her dad when she was younger. So when she's coming down, she always sees this. So when she sees him, she starts crawling and banging on the door to try to get out. And and this girl shows up, the one we're talking about, that the boyfriend to Yusa, and her name's Julie. Now that I remember,
Yeah,
it's
Julia's.
Julie.
Yeah, that's right. She
Julie.
did have.
Yeah, she opens the door because the girl slamming on it, the Monica girl, and opens it and right away just kicks her in the gut, like straight up kicks her and like throws her on the ground and be like, "Stop it, stop!" Like so right away, her character, you see, she's like super brutal and like so that opening scene is great. She just swings the door open and just kicks Monica right in the gut, and it looked like she actually gave her a
No, it
good
looked like they
kick
made
for
a
real.
contact. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't like yeah, yeah, it wasn't like fake
She
kicking.
kicks a
Like it
couple
looked
people in this movie, and it looks like she nails them each time,
nailed
dude.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It looks real. It looks really real. Yeah, and it was great. I love that opening scene. I was like, oh shit, this girl's badass, man. Yeah. So that's the intro of Julie. Yeah, in this movie.
And
Yeah.
then I also like the gangster, Kaze, like the Yakuza guy that's stirring the pot, the guy that's setting the whole thing in motion.
The double
Yeah,
crosser. Yeah, the
yeah,
one who sets up Monica to be for the fall, for the drugs, for stealing the drugs, and he's the one who, because he tries to set it up where he steals the drugs, frames Monica for it, and in doing so, he's a fuck up though. He, like you, like those crooks that always try to make these plans, but everything goes wrong for him. Well, this is that guy. This is that character, the fuck
yeah.
up crook, the
Well,
fuck up.
and it's not even other people's faults because he messes up at the very beginning.
Yeah, when he puts on a mask and the guy rips it off and like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he goes
Eh,
and tries to actually he's supposed to
Rob.
just rob Yusa, but like he gets caught by the door handle and like Yusa grabs his mask and pulls it off and sees that it's him and he's like, "No, no, this is a drill. I'm just testing you to see if you're ready if something like this happens." And
Yeah,
like Yusa's not buying it, so he has to plug him and
yeah,
like yeah.
yeah,
So and then the cop who is supposed to be taking Monica out and keeping her away until it's time to turn her in basically is taking her to a hotel or something, and she starts having a hallucination seeing her dad, so
her
she
dad.
runs away and runs into Leo, who is the boxer, and says, "Help me," and like
Yeah,
he just knocks the cop right out. The cop comes running towards him and just boom. It's
yeah,
like
because she bumps him. She bumps. Sorry. When she's running from the cop, she bumps Leo, and then, like you said, she says, "Help me." So when he turns, all he sees is uh, uh, Otomo is the cop's name running, but he doesn't know he's a cop. So his instant reaction is just nails him one punch, and that's a great scene too when he nails him. The way he flops on the ground and everything, such a great action scene. Love that shot. And that's when he finds out. He's like searching him, and he realizes he's a cop. He's like, oh shit, yeah,
and then that drunk girl that finds him, some
yeah.
guy knocked you out. That's one
He
of my
says,
favorite scenes is when the cop wakes up in that drunk
you may
nurse.
think I'm a nurse, but I'm a
Yeah, you
nurse,
might
and
you might think
I've only had 2 drinks.
yeah.
That's a good scene. Yeah, she did a great job. Yeah, that was some good comic relief in the movie there. Yeah, yeah, because then Leo and Monica take off. Right, that's when they go on the run. Yeah, and he steals his badge. Right, that's one of the things the cops all like. Fuck, he took my badge, and then that's when he starts calling the other guy, the one, the crook,
Kaze, yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's when he starts calling him nonstop, like, oh, it went wrong, and everything's just a
Me,
series of mistakes, right? Of what do you call it?
Yeah, so basically Kaze's boss is like this crazy gangster called Gondo who just got out of jail for cutting off the Chinese gang leader's arm. So they
Mhm,
got like this big beef. So the Chinese gang is looking for any reason to go against this particular Yakuza brand. There's a
yeah,
Yakuza hit woman, or a triad Chinese hit woman who is in Japan who is just unimpressed with Yakuza men. She watched all these Yakuza movies when she was a little girl and she thinks that they're all kind of pussies compared to like how they were portrayed in like the old what is it, Battles Without Humanity, like gangster movies and stuff. So
mhm.
some really great characters all around, some really just really huge cast of like all these weird characters that all end up in one way or another after Leo and Monica
Yeah.
until
And that's
until
when he hires a Chinese person to go after Julie.
right.
Yeah, so that they can say the Chinese were in on it with Monica to steal the drugs and double cross the Yakuza. So that's why. So he's, yeah. What's his name again? The shitty Yakuza guy?
Kaze.
Kaze. Yeah, that's Kaze's trying to set all that up.
Oh man, when Julie kills the Chinese hitman though, man, that's
Yeah,
it's hilarious because he gets blood on her pants, so she just keeps stomping
yeah,
his head into the
stomping his head. Got blood, I can't wear them now. And she gets all pissy.
And she's in these little furry teddy bear underwear too, which is just
Yeah.
hilarious, man.
But
She's
at this point, she still doesn't realize that Yusa has been killed. Yeah. That's
yeah,
when she gets her phone back because the guy takes her phone, right? And then she tries calling him. He's not answering. Then she starts panicking. Yeah, that's where she really starts to.
goes
Yeah, but
crazy.
the way she takes out the Chinese guy, yeah, that was good too. The way she, yeah,
It's like
that
takes
whole
something
scene,
she
that whole
yeah.
scene's great. Yeah, that whole scene with Julie and the Chinese henchman that he hires or whatever. Yeah, that whole scene's great. There's a lot of good scenes in this movie, actually.
Yeah.
Mm.
The end action set piece is really, really fun. A lot of over the top shit. Like Kaze, he's like got this bag of
Yeah,
meth in his jacket and he gets shot and it goes through the bag of meth and
yeah,
into his body and the meth is like soaking into his blood and he's just like, oh, it feels good. So like
yeah.
he's
He's
kind of
getting
running
shot and he
around.
doesn't feel it, and yeah,
Yeah. So there's
he's
some
like,
really kind of really funny over the top stuff, but like I said, it's kind of Guy Ritchie esque, so it really works well. There's
mhm,
some pretty neat decapitations going on, like,
yeah,
and the end is actually really, really cute and really as happy of
yeah,
an end as you can hope for a film like this. I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but
yeah,
like I've seen other Miike gangster romances that have really traumatic, terrible endings. Where this one, I don't know, it's not super duper cheesy happy, but I really was happy with the way this one like ended up. I liked all the character arcs. The one main gangster boss guy and the big escape. You know, I thought that all that was really fun. Like the cartoon sequence was neat.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot of really neat
that's it.
visual stuff in this film.
When that happened, I was like, oh, here we go. This makes sense.
Yeah.
When the car drives through the wall,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden he's staring, all of a sudden you see the blue lightning come out, and you're like, oh, here we go, here we go,
Like I
here we
said, it was a
go.
this was a callback to the older films like Dead or
Yeah,
Alive, and
yeah,
like if you know anything about Dead or Alive, it had probably one of the weirdest beginnings and endings for like
yeah,
probably any film you'll see. And I'm glad that he kind of tried to live up to that, but like didn't make something as weird as say like Yakuza Apocalypse, which is another
mhm,
film of his that came out around this time, which is just as fun, just as good, but it's so much more weird and so much probably harder to get into than this film is. Like I would say this is a very good entry level Miike film. Like if you want to like try to check out his movies and see what he's about, I'd say this is a nice starting place. To tell you
mhm.
the truth, because it's a very well-rounded film. There is some really
Yep.
Miike-esque moments. There's some gore, some really kind of grotesque things, but like it's balanced out much like Fried Berry was. There's a lot of really kind of over the top fun and just cute stuff in this film as well.
Hmm. Yeah, like the whole subway scene where
Yeah,
Leo is
where
trying
he
to.
teaches her to laugh at her fears, you know, kind of
Yeah,
overcome them. And
yeah,
then at the end, she's actually able to face him and fight him, which was a really great scene. The way that like the two characters help each other, and I really liked the way they both portrayed that too. How they were both kind of dead inside and empty until they met each other, and the more they got to know each other, the more alive and more they cared about shit. Like the two characters were, and by the end, like Leo's actually like like being excited about stuff and like yeah, whereas the rest of the film is just like so what, yeah,
well,
you
he
know.
thinks he's dying, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, but I like the way almost every little story in this
ties
gets
up.
wrapped up. Yeah, exactly. Like the
Even
whole
the scene with the fortune teller like ends up getting tied up.
yeah, like everything gets kind of tied up. There's no pretty. I can't think of any loose ends like that would from the movie. Like he tied everything up pretty good. Yeah, like even with her backstory with her dad and the kid, they even tie that up. Like they put a nice little bow on that. Yeah,
at the end where she meets Ryuji and like
Yeah,
sees that
Ryuji.
he
Yeah.
actually got to have a pretty good life for being a decent kid. Yeah, great film. Like I really like First Love.
And Leo, like with his haircut and everything, you know what I thought the whole time? He would have been a decent Sandman.
Yeah,
Like he had the look. I thought he would be a pretty cool Sandman. Like if you cast him as Sandman, as Morpheus, yeah, I thought he'd be. He definitely had the look.
yeah, he's a good actor. I've seen him in quite a few things. What's his name? Uh, Matsaka, Masataka Kubota.
Bulldog. Yeah, I liked him. He was pretty good. Like you said, he played the cool, kind of quiet guy really well. Mm.
And then like, yeah, and towards the end of the film when he started getting emotional and stuff, like did that all really well too. Like he's very got a very expressive face. Yeah, really good character actor. Probably one of the strongest that I've seen in one of these type of movies where like the kind of guy that gets roped into something that
Yeah,
weird shit
exactly.
happening to him.
I like that. Where the scene too is like, what are you doing here? Like
Yeah,
the big sequence there, where the guy at the big yakuza guy. That was a. I love that scene before the head to head with the main Chinese, the head Chinese guy. The way
yeah,
he's just like with the gun and his sword, and the way he's fighting. A lot of the scenes with him were super good. Really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. He's been in quite a few Miike movies. He was in 13 Assassins as well. He was really badass in that too.
Uh, 13 Assassins. Is that the one that's like nonstop action for 2 hours? What's
Um,
that one?
yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, well, no, about the first 45 minutes is a little slow as them getting to the village, but after like
Okay.
the fight starts, like, yeah, there's a good about hour long action set piece where they're just killing fools and blowing up buildings. Yeah, dude, like 13 Assassins is pretty nuts. But it's not quite on the level of like the Raid movies. Now those ones are like
Okay.
nonstop action the entire run.
Yeah.
Blade of the Immortals kind of nonstop action, which is another Miike film, which I think that dude might be in too, to tell you the truth. But
Yeah. Because he's got pretty good sword skills. So
yeah,
yeah.
he does that cool tough guy Yakuza boss thing so good,
Yeah.
man. Like
Yeah.
if I was gonna hire anybody besides like maybe beat Takeshi, I'd hire this dude because he's just
Yeah.
does all
The
that stuff
voice,
just so
everything. Yeah.
perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And then the other character that you didn't see much, just a little of, was the head of the henchmen for the Chinese mob.
the one arm hung
Well,
or whatever his name was.
no, he was the leader, but the of the henchmen, the head of the henchmen, the girl
Okay,
who's drunk. Yeah,
yeah, I liked her too.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
She's like, "Are you civilian or are you yakuza?" You know, and the whole thing, and like the most important thing in life is
humanity.
humane. Yeah, to be humanity. Yeah, to be humane. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Uh,
Yeah, I liked her a lot. She was
yeah,
pretty
she had
funny
a
character.
smaller role, but she was pretty good at the end there with the. And is that in a hardware store or what kind of
Yeah,
store was that? It was a hardware store, eh?
yeah, because it looked because I was paying attention a couple times I watched it this week, and yeah, it looked like it was just all hardware stuff. So
That's what I thought too. Yeah, yeah, those scenes are pretty good. Where just a lot of ducking out of the way, and then oh, this person did it.
yeah,
Like where Julie just walks away, and you're like, why'd she
yeah,
walk away? And it's because she saw, but she didn't say like look out or anything. She just walks and lets the other guy take it. You know,
yeah,
and it's like that is cold, man. Yeah.
yeah, because she just like stares at the guy hella funny and stuff, and then she
Hmm.
just keeps walking, and then all
Yeah,
of a
and
sudden,
he's like, what?
boom.
Yeah, then boom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
shot incredible. It's probably one of his most best visual films. Like that's for sure. Like he got to really play around because a lot of the time he's a work for hire guy, but like this one was pretty much his baby. This is like one of the films where he got to do whatever he wanted. So
The car chase was done pretty good too.
yeah, I loved the where they're dumping the drugs out and like the way it makes the kind of like snowy scene where
Yeah.
like they get lost in the fog. Like it was very visceral,
But
very beautiful.
But the car chase scene leading up to the hardware store was good. Like
Oh, okay,
in the
yeah.
carport and stuff, that was pretty good too. Where they're driving around and just like, oh, they run into the yakuza, then oh, they run into the Chinese, then the cops show up. It was pretty good. I like that. Yeah, that's where you said they all converge, right? When they're out on the road,
Yeah.
and how they like where the yakuza figure out that it's
Kaze?
Kaze, who's like, oh, that's when he starts getting high, right? Because he got shot.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
his little
the
Rube
cat's out of
Goldstein.
the the
Yeah.
cat's out of the bag now.
Well,
Then that one Yakuza guy standing there, he's like, "We got a friend of yours." And that's when they pulled Julie out of the car.
oh, the John
And they,
Cusack looking guy. Like I kept thinking, like, dude, that's
yeah,
Japanese John Cusack, dude.
yeah, yeah, with a trench coat and everything. Yeah, he goes and opens the door, and they have that like horror movie, like Japanese horror movie moment where you hear her jump on the car, and then it pans
Yeah.
to her, and she's
Dunk.
like right in the windshield.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
staring at him with them crazy
yeah,
eyes. Yeah, dude,
yeah,
that lady is crazy, dude. She had me
yeah.
rolling the entire film, man.
That was great. Yeah, that was a good scene. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, she was good. The actress who played Julie, I like her. Yeah, I'll have to
yeah.
check to see if she's in any other movies. I'll keep an eye out when I watch them to see.
Yeah, probably because this was a pretty big production.
Hmm.
It was one of his bigger films, like I said.
It came out in 2019, so it isn't that old. It's 4 years old now, maybe three, four.
Yeah, but he's like slowed down a lot, so he hasn't really like since JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, he hasn't really made anything, which is weird for him because he used to make 4 films a year most years. Then when he got kind of
Yeah.
really famous, he was making like 2 to 3, but usually
Okay.
at least two a year. But like the past couple of years, he hasn't, or yeah, since 2001, I don't think he's really made anything, which is
Well, how old would he be now?
I don't know. He's got gray hair and he's starting to look pretty old, so that's got to be really
60s?
old for an Asian guy. You know what I mean?
Probably in
Because
his 60s. I'd
they
say
don't
he's in his
start.
60s.
Yeah,
That'd be my guess.
because I'm
60s,
not
pushing 70.
as big of a fan as I am of his. I've never really researched him that much. I don't really know too much about him personally, but I think he was born in the '60s. So
Yeah,
because
so he
like
pushing
as
70.
he made a couple autobiographical films called Young Thugs, and like yeah, like those were about took place around the time of the Apollo launches. So at
Okay.
least the first one when he was a little kid, or the second one where he's a little kid, because the first one was actually about when he was a teenager.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, this was definitely. I don't know. I haven't seen like he has a lot of movies, so there's a lot of his stuff I haven't
Yeah, I
watched.
think
But
he's
I've
made
watched
like
all of his.
112 films in total.
Yeah. Like what have I seen? I've seen The Audition. I've seen Ishi. I've seen this one. I watched the Yakuza was Apocalypse. What else have
You
I
said you
seen?
saw Fudo, right?
Fudo. I saw Fudo. Uh, I've seen. Is there how many Dead Alive?
There's 3 Dead or Alive movies.
Dead or Alive three. So I think I saw the first and second. Uh, yeah, I've seen a good chunk of his stuff.
Yeah, I think I've seen probably around 65 of his movies in total.
Damn, that's a lot. I've seen maybe close 8 to 10, maybe total. Like there's some I'm sure I can't think of, but yeah.
Well, a lot of his are hard to find, or like,
Mm.
and I used to scour Amazon and I would buy
Okay, yeah.
bootlegs, but that's the only way to get some of his movies.
Hmm.
Like a couple of my favorites, like that's the only way to actually have like physical copies of them.
See, when I lived in the city, one of my buddies was a huge Takashi Miike fan, and that's why I've seen a lot of his movies. And there's this video store in this slum somewhere, and it was like a all like anime, all these imports from like Japan, all
Yeah,
from Asia and stuff. A lot of them were bootlegs. Some of them weren't even subtitled. Like we'd have to watch them without subtitles. Uh, yeah, not dubbed, just the original version, no subtitles. So we just watch it without understanding any of the dialogue. So, which is a trip watching a movie and
watching it raw.
Yeah.
I've done it a few times. One that I really enjoyed, probably better than I liked when I watched it. Was like it's a Russian movie called Guardians. It's like a superhero movie. You've probably
Okay.
seen the trailer for it. That's the one with the bear with the machine
Oh,
gun.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first time I watched that was raw with no subtitles, and like I really
Okay.
liked it like that. But
Mm,
and then the second time I watched it was dubbed, which I
okay.
think is the only way you'd watch it, like if you get the DVD for it.
Okay. There's no subtitled ones.
I don't think so.
Dubbed or in its original version. Mm. See, I prefer subtitled.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless I, I I know that like I'm gonna get hate for this, but like I don't mind dubbed in anime because it's voice acting
Hmm.
anyways, and I find even Japanese voice acting really over the top and silly, so I don't really hold that against like the American voice actors for being over the top and silly
Hmm.
too. But with live action, when the people are actually like performing and talking, like yeah,
Hmm.
trying to watch it dubbed is just undoable. Except for maybe
Yeah.
Godzilla films, like
Yeah.
I told you, like I could watch.
Yeah.
That's how I watched them when I was a kid. But like
So
yeah, if I'm
I know in the House of Nerds, Sergio's always given Elle a hard time for that because Sergio's a big subtitled guy, and Elle likes to watch dubbed because she likes to do other things while she's watching a movie. So like she does her parenting thing, taking care of her kids, so she can't do the subtitles because she can't just sit there and read through a whole movie. So they're having a little debate about that the other day on the House of Nerds. Mm,
see, I mean, like you got to think about it in context, though. I mean, like that might make sense. You know what I mean? I've never really had to
yeah.
deal with that type of thing, so
No, that's it.
maybe
Yeah.
I would change my viewing habits too if like I had that type of.
But you
But
see, the first time I did the rewatch, because I watched First Love a while back, and this week, like, so I've seen it 3 times total. Sorry, it's 3 times total now. And I was getting supper ready. Like, I watched Fried Berry while I was starting to do stuff. So Fried Berry, I could listen to it like in the background, like Elle said. So like, and I'd already watched it twice before. So I think I've seen Fried Berry like 4 times. And so that's not so bad. But then at First Love, I queued that up and I wasn't done getting supper ready yet. So I was still doing stuff in the kitchen, but we have an open concept so I could see the TV in the living room from the kitchen when I'm making supper. And like a lot of it was, I can't listen, so I had to watch, right? So I missed a lot of the movie the first time I did a rewatch, just because, like Elle said, if it isn't dubbed, I don't understand what's going on. Like if I look, I can get the gist of it from watching it, but you can't just listen, like
yeah,
if it's yeah. So I
well, I
could
mean,
see
and
how
with
she's
this
like,
film, as far as I know, that there is no dub for it. I got the
yeah.
DVD here, and it's Japanese with English subtitles, and I know it's for stream on Tubi, but like I don't think they have a dub for it either because if it's not on the DVD, I don't see Tubi making one.
See, here I watched it through Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I think they'd have whatever the DVD settings were too. I don't think they would go out of their way to
Nope,
make their
it's
own
just
dub for it
subtitled. Yeah, yeah. So,
because
yeah.
dubs are
But
expensive.
yeah, you have to hire a whole bunch of other actors to.
I'll tell you what, I did check out one dub of a Miike movie, and it's actually really funny to watch. It's
Is
Ichi
it
the Killer because
okay?
it's it's a British dub, so like it's
Is
so
it?
what's this Ichi like then? All right, right, bro.
Oh,
Yeah, so like
yeah,
it's fucking hilarious watching these Yakuza gangsters with these Cockney accents, man.
yeah.
So what's this Ichi like then? Right. You know?
uh, that'd probably be pretty good, actually. I'd like to see that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man. Definitely First Love. Like you
I
said,
give it a
I think
9
it.
out of 10. I mean, like I think it's a really solid film. I think it's shot beautifully. Acting solid. Um,
I fall in the same ballpark as Fried Berry. Maybe like you said, around an 8 for me, 7.5 and 8. Like both were
okay.
super enjoyable. I enjoyed both of them. Uh, like you said, Miike, if you haven't watched any of his movies, depending on the type of person you are, I don't know if you'd want to start with like his more wild stuff. But this, like Johnny said, this is definitely good all around entry point for like his style of movie that I think. caters to a lot of like some of the things he does in a lot of his other movies. So definitely, if you're interested in taking a look at his stuff, he's an extremely prolific Japanese director. So I mean,
I mean, and like he's got range. I mean, he's done like kids films for crying out loud. He's done a
mhm,
couple of them, and so like he's made like really good dramas. Like my favorite films of his are actually his just straight up gangster films. Like
mm,
my favorite film of his is one called um, The Agitator, which is just like a straight up gangster movie, but it's amazing. So, but it's got a lot of the same themes as this film does too. So
mhm,
he likes odd characters and
mm, mhm.
it's really neat, and I don't know. I don't know. He's got a lot of range though. Like I don't want to try to pigeonhole the guy and say that like everything he does is really wild, but he does enjoy going hard. Like he does.
And he
Like
does it
so,
well.
a lot of his films do bend that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
In
but I
one way or
mean,
another.
like you said, if you're making as many movies as he does, then I mean, you're gonna have a variety. Because this, he couldn't have made that many movies if he's always making the same thing over and over again. No one would be interested, right? So, like you
Yeah.
said, he has a range and he's explored it all. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting director to take a little dive into.
Right. Right.
What would you
But
say is your favorite Miike movie?
my favorite Miike movie, like I said,
Yeah,
at The Agitator. I also
that's your
really like.
favorite? No,
Yeah.
because
I
you
also
said
really
that was
like
more
Bird People
okay.
of China.
Okay.
Oh, my favorite of his wild movies?
No, I just meant in general. So I thought
Oh,
you meant just out of his mafia stuff, that Agitator, but it's your favorite of all
yeah,
his
that's
stuff.
my favorite of all his films. Yeah.
Okay. Mm.
Good luck finding it though.
Oh yeah, it's hard to.
It never really got released in the United States, and the bootleg DVD's out of print. Last time I saw it, I have a copy, but like last time I saw it up on Amazon, like they were asking like idiot prices for it, man. I can't believe. But for people would pay that for a DVD. As much as I
Yeah.
love the film, I wouldn't.
No. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I haven't watched as many of his movies as you, but I'd probably have to go with Ishi, or I know a lot of people love The Audition, but I thought it's good.
It makes me sad. I think that
Yeah.
I feel really bad for the main character, or the girl actually,
Yeah.
more than the dude. Even though
Yeah.
she is scary and crazy, like
Yeah.
the way that
But,
her backstory and like what happens, like I don't know, like
yeah.
I found it like more sad than actually scary or creepy, like a lot of
Yeah.
people do. Like sure, the actual ending is really grotesque. There the foot and stuff, like everybody knows about that, but for the most part, I found the movie really tragic and sad, like I
Mhm.
said, and kind
Yeah.
of more depressing than
Yeah.
anything else.
Because that movie gets probably it's probably the one that gets the most praise, I'd say, out of all his movies that people talk about the most.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I liked Ishii because of how over the top it is, but not to
yeah.
the point like Dead or Alive. How that those movies get at certain points, you know. So which I appreciate as well. But I think and Fudo wasn't. I enjoyed Fudo as well. Like out of all the ones I've watched,
Yeah,
but
Fudo, because Fudo is like I don't know, it's like a cartoon, man. Like the really everything was just so silly, you know what I mean? Like even with the blow dart, the famous blow
yeah,
dart scene, like that was just
mhm,
so cartoonish. I could see that in a really bad like anime. I could see that something like that happening in
yeah,
Wicked City, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. But yeah. But those were like the early ones I saw too. So those were the ones like that hit me first. Like I think Ishii was the first one I ever saw of his.
Yeah.
So I think
I
that's
think
why it just stuck with me.
Well, because I think that was just one of the easiest ones to find really early on,
Probably.
because it
Yeah.
was like you could actually rent it at stores. Like first time I saw the R-rated cut, which had like so much of it cut out.
Okay.
It's like that was available at Hollywood, and then eventually I
Uh,
ended up seeing the DVD of it, the unrated one, which I own now. And yeah, no, it's a film. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Ichi the Killer, like, but it does have one of my favorite, my probably my favorite actor. I love Tobunado Asano, the guy who plays Kakamura,
Okay.
and I really loved him as that character. I thought he just had so much fun playing such an evil character when he's like sticking the needle in the guys. Like I just loved the way he did those scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
So So it's got its moments for me, but like I think Ichi is it's one of his better known films, but I don't think it's one of his
Yeah.
best, in my opinion,
See,
personally.
like Fudo, I saw it at the festival, the Fantasia festival, when it early on when it first started in Montreal. You could see a lot of those movies on the big screen at that festival. You still can. It's gotten so big now that a lot of movies premiere there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think Fried Berry was big there.
possibly. Yeah, I think it got nominated for one of the prizes there. I think I remember reading it. Yeah, it's gotten pretty big now, Fantasia. A lot of like smaller movies like that have like a lot of cult movies do a lot of premieres there during the festival.
I'm jealous though, man. I'd have loved to seen Fudo in the theater.
Yeah, it
That,
was pretty. It was a trip. It was fun.
and it's not one of my all-time favorites, but I really do have a lot of time for that one, man. That movie's,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
So,
man, First Love. I really hope some of you check it out. Like it's such a it's different, fun than you'll see any other type of gangster movie really being. At least if you watch mostly U.S. stuff. And it's quite a bit different than a lot of Asian stuff as well. I mean, it's like I said, like it's very reminiscent to other stuff that Miike's done, but like it's still way different than a lot of it too. So, which is really cool.
yeah, this long after, like what, 30 years later? I mean,
Yeah, I think he started. I think his first film came out in '95, but like those ones are, I haven't seen them. Those ones are really hard to get. Like the his straight to video stuff that he did really early on. The
yeah.
first movie of his that I have that I've seen is Bodyguard Kiba, which I think was 1997. It was a couple years after he started.
Mm.
But like, yeah, he really blew up in the early 2000s. Like 2001 was his big year. That's when Audition and Ichi the Killer and like all those came out. Visitor Q.
Oh, was it Visitor? Is it Visitor Q I saw? Not. I'd have to. I believe I've seen Visitor Q as well.
I don't think I don't really want to talk about that movie on air just because of where it goes. But like, we'll talk about it off air to see if it's one that you've seen.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I
But
think I've seen it. I think that was one of the ones I went and watched at Fantasia, actually.
but this is our schedule upcoming. On um, Tuesday, we're going to be talking about The Nobody by Jeff Lemire. Then next Friday, we are going to have Dylan Kobasier from Metalhead Samurai on to talk with us. Also, Adrian's going to be back with us because him and Dylan are buddies. So
Hmm.
he's gonna help us kind of get the juicy bits out of Dylan's backstory. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? We're gonna get some really good details
yeah,
thanks to Adrian, hopefully. So
yeah.
that should be a fun episode.
Next Friday.
Next Friday on the
Yeah, but
10th
yeah, but before then, we're gonna be hitting up the Lemire book, The Nobody,
on the
on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
So we'll catch you then. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Have a nice
Yeah,
weekend, everybody.